I'm just checking whether they are able to listen my voice or not. Hi Naren.
Hi, Sudhanshu.
Yeah. So let me check. We are live only. Okay. I'm just checking whether.
Sudhanshu, you're speaking on mute. I can't hear you,
Yeah. So
but I could hear you earlier. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I'm telling that we are live only. I'm just checking whether they are able to listen us or not. Okay. Just give me 1 or 2 minutes. I will check and then confirm. Okay.
Sure.
So people are able to listen us. Okay. So we can start off this session. Okay. So let me start this session with introducing myself only. So my name is Sudhanshu Kumar. Right now I'm a part of Cohorts program only. I qualified my CA in May 2022. I had done my articleship from Deloitte in Gurgaon, and I am in the team of BFM, and I am really interested and I love what I do in Wipro. So we have Naren and Dale with us. These both are the recruiters. Mainly Naren is the mentor for our this cohorts program, and let's start with Naren first. Yeah.
Hey, hi, Sudhanshu. So first of all, thank you for having us here. And I just wanted to check how do we go about doing this? Because I know that we've received a few questions. You've received a few questions uh, from your audience, and should we go through that, or is there any other specific format that you would want me to talk about
Okay.
what is the process and so on? Yeah.
Okay. So let me tell you all the questions that you will be going to answer today. So the questions are what is Wipro cohorts, and then what are the different roles that Wipro will be providing to the CAs. Then will they be able to select the roles that they will get in the Wipro, and then will cohorts uh, help CAs to excel in their careers perspective. Will they able to reach the maximum level CFO kind of thing if they remains in Wipro for long? Then the most important question that everybody is asking me all day is what is this assessment test that going to held tomorrow? What are the questions? Not the questions exactly, but the kind of questions that will be asked and the pattern that will be asked in the assessment test tomorrow. And lastly, is it still that they are doing work from home or work from office like of stuffs? So the main topic that I was interacting with many people was this assessment test only. What all things will be asked in the assessment test, and then we can move on to the second level, third level, where the first and second level of interviews will be held with the respective managers, and then to the HR round. This is what done with my campus, but let's hear from you guys only. Okay, so we can start it from the cohorts program. What is this cohorts program, Wipro cohorts program?
Actually, if you don't mind, Sudhanshu, I can start with the assessment
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that will be more interesting for immediately. And then, those who want to skip that and I mean, they don't have to hunt for it. So first, we will start with the assessment.
Okay.
So, guys, there is a written test. It is hosted on our one of our partners' platform called CoCubes. So once you register, you get a link, and you have a time period in which you have to log in. You have to have a functional camera, a microphone that should be working. You should not be wearing these things, which is your earphones or AirPods or anything of that sort. Uh, you should keep your microphone on and your cameras on. So there is a proctoring that is done remotely. There is a AI-based proctoring that happens as well. Uh, so that's the logistics part of it. And you have about, I think, 1 hour, 15 minutes roughly to answer the questions. The maximum amount of time that we have allocated is for finance, and that is about 45 minutes. In finance, we have about 20 questions. Some of them have just one correct answer. Some of them have more than one correct answers. Uh, so it is the questions uh, are based on topics from various topics that you've gone through, from a bit of SFM, a bit of accounting standards, uh, and in the past you might have seen in the videos also on YouTube that, or in Google also reviews, you would have read that they ask a lot about IFRS 15 and 16, which happens to be the favorite of all Wipro finance folks. But we also make sure that the test is fair for everybody. So it's from across different accounting standards. Uh, the idea that we are testing is not whether you remember the accounting standards by heart, but can you have learned all these topics, whether it's accounting standards or no bookkeeping or SFM or capital budgeting or anything of that sort. You've learned it, and I'm sure most of you would have forgotten 80 to 90% of whatever verbatim you would have read. But there is a certain percentage that you retain in your head, which is what we define as knowledge. What and when you come across a problem, you pull something out from that knowledge base that you have and say, okay, this is what they're talking about. And then you are able to solve problems. So most people who solve problems, it is not based on memorizing all the stuff that you have learned or everything that you've learned, but this is how it should be. And that is key to problem solving. So what we test in this written test is that it is, you are given practical situations that are there in terms of questions. And the questions are typically tuned like that. It is not very difficult. I've gone through the questions myself, and the finance, I'm talking about the finance part. So it's not very difficult. At least the ones that have single correct answers. And you can fairly, reasonably guess what could be the right answer. So idea is that you have multiple choices, so you can take your time and guess and understand what could be the right answer. It's not too difficult from that point of view. What I would also suggest is that for at least the ones that we have clearly marked which are the ones that have only one correct answer and which are the ones that have more than one correct answer. So you need not be confused about it. So you can use your elimination method to figure out which is the one correct answer. But only request I have is that read the question clear once or twice and then answer the options that you've been given. Multiple choice is a bit tricky. The way we have designed multiple choices, correct answers, is that you're given a situation, you have more than one correct answers. And this is true in many cases. And this also forms a bedrock of our cohorts program also. Like folks like Sudhanshu, when they join in the case studies they go through, there is no one right answer for the case study. In a business problem, you have quite a few complex situations where you don't have one right answer, right? And like a person who diffuses the bomb, you don't diffuse the bomb if you cut both the wires, right? Let's say you've seen in these movies, right? Red wire and green wire, and your hands keep shivering and then you cut that. So, I mean, you can't say, look, I cut the right wire also. So somewhat similar philosophy that we use there. Try to see which are the answers that apply. But that said, we do expect that people might not score as well in the questions where you have multiple correct answers also. So from a shortlisting point of view, we take that into account as well. both the score that you have in the single correct answer and in the multiple correct answer. So we're much more generous in that time when it comes to shortlisting, but it gives us an idea of that. So the questions again are from different accounting standards that might be there. The questions doesn't mean that now you have to, or any time you have to go through, read and memorize everything from presentation to, whatever. You don't have to do that. Use your common sense and use your memory. Most importantly, be calm. Have a good glass of water before you take the exam, and it should be okay. It should not be a problem from that perspective. After that, you have verbal reasoning, English, because that's a language that is used as communication in our company. We are a global company, so it's very important to be able to communicate properly and understand the words of it. That's why we have English as a language. Then you have analytical reasoning and quantitatives. Again, quantitative and analytical reasoning is purely common sense, not too much of a hassle there. You should be able to score there as well. Our cutoffs are also pretty generous from that point of view. I would suggest that you spend about 45 minutes for the finance question, and half an hour should be enough for the remaining three rounds, remaining three chapters, sections that are there. So that way you'll be able to, get the best out of all that. So finance typically tends to be the more difficult part than the others, and we also give weightage more to the finance part. That's how the assessment happens. Now, I'll quickly talk about the interview process also. So since we are talking about the assessment, if that's okay, Sudhanshu.
Yeah. So that's okay. Meanwhile, I'm just seeing the comment section. If anybody posts it regarding that assessment test, I will let you know. Okay, so that you can answer those questions here only. Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So now we can. I think this assessment test is tomorrow only, and the next level of round will be on 13th and 14th. Is it February the 25th?
Yeah. No, Dale, could you?
It's on 13th and 14th, the first round interviews, and second round will be on 16th and 17th.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Dale. So, Naren, we can now move to the second, means the first round of interviews that will happen for the ones who
Yeah.
qualify the exams. Yeah.
Yeah. So from there, the first round of interview would be on, again, first two rounds will be technical interviews that you will have. And in these technical interviews, you'll be getting a meeting invite to join at a particular time, a time slot, and you'll be assigned a panelist. So most of the panelists are senior people in Wipro itself. And so what do we look for? So before that, you have to also submit a resume in a particular format. The reason is that, when we are doing these interviews, we don't want the panelists to be hunting for information. Where has this person put this information and all that? So it's in a single format. It is very efficient for the panelists also to do the interviews very quickly, and we don't end up wasting the candidate's time nor the panelist's time. That's the reason we have that. We also request you to write a candidate information form on what you should when there are a few questions that you have to answer. What was the most difficult thing that you faced in your articleship and all that? And those of you, who are listening in right now and who might be watching this later, if you're thinking of using ChatGPT, by all means do that, but be aware that ChatGPT can give you very wrong answers also. In fact, I had fun asking it about the cohorts program, and it gave me completely wrong answers there. But while you are at it, also remember that the output of ChatGPT can be verified whether it's generated content or a human generated content by another program which is there called Zero GPT. So those of you who haven't heard of Zero GPT, this is a good time to hear about that. So well, the professors are struggling with this, but you can detect whether a content is generated by AI or not. But that's just a. Would you put your stuff, because that's something that comes from your heart. The panelists are supposed to go through the resume and this candidate information form. They'll ask you on that. The candidate information form gives more of behavioral related questions. Now, in the technical interview, what do they ask for? Most panelists, now I cannot speak for every panelist because we have not manufactured them in factories, and it's not an AI that's doing your interview. But what a typical panelist looks for is what I can talk about here. What they would look for is, what have you done in your articleship? And what are the demonstrations of your diligence and to what depth have you understood what you've done in your articleship? Now, this is something of a problem in the sense that people would have very varied experiences in articleship, right? Somebody would have done, statutory audit, and somebody would have done just ROC filing and income tax filings and so on. So to make sure that we have a fair assessment of all the people in their articleship, you should talk about what is it that you've done, or how have you demonstrated diligence, even if it is to do with ROC filings or if it is just to do with income tax returns filing or replying to assessment notices and so on. That diligence is what they look for. What is it that you have done, and to what depth have you gone to understand? So the questions might be around that area of what you've done in articleship, what all have been your experiences. So now let's take the other case where you've done some fantastic audit and you've achieved something great. Huh? Now it could be that you went as a team and the team did great, but what did you do? So that's also something that people would be probing you on. So be sure that what you have done, you should express that honestly and clearly and in the right way. I'm sure that all of you would have done something good in your articleship as well. And just bring out the best points there. They are not looking for the times when you screwed up and you got a real thrashing from your principal or customer or whoever it is. Not interested in that. I mean, it's honestly come with a very positive mindset of, what is the good that you have done. Second part is that we have also a section, right, Dale? We have a section where it says, what are your areas of interest? So when you say areas of interest, make sure that those are areas of your interest where you can answer questions also, not aspirational areas of interest. Huh? So when tomorrow I'll be an expert, so I will write today that these are my areas of interest. Don't put it like that. And again, the questioning will be on that specific area. If they are not able to figure that out, they might ask you, what are the areas that I can quiz you on? What are your areas of interest in finance? And it's related to areas of interest related to finance, and not like I love watching Bollywood movies or singing songs, or not that areas of interest. This is related to technical interview I'm talking about. So you will be asked questions on that. Now, one of the techniques you should understand is that the opening question might be very simple. It might just start with a harmless question of, it can be very harmless as in NPV or IRR or pick up something like that. But what happens is that, and this is true for most of the interviews that I have seen and people I've spoken to also, they have this approach. They take the first one, very simple one, and then they keep on bringing in complexity in the next level, next level, next level. What they're assessing is the depth. How is your thinking? How does your thinking hold when the questions become more and more deeper and more convoluted? So in the first one, be careful in answering, and also answer to the point, so that you can get to the next level and so on. So just prepare and rehearse this. One idea I would like to share is that not just for any interviews that you attend, try to see if you can make a question bank. Your own question bank. Just start with few topics that you have, and then you can keep on writing questions. And once you write a question, you can see that when you write this question, you can see what could be the subsequent question and subsequent question and so on and so forth. And when you do that, you already have rehearsed for the interview and assessment very well. And bear in mind, you are not some person who is just learning the ABCs of commerce or finance. Huh? You have qualified one of the most difficult examinations already. So it is just what makes people, nervous is just that the environment of being in an interview. Unfortunately, we couldn't have organized mock interviews or something like that. But maybe as a suggestion, we can think through, for people to get that fear out of interviews and so on. So one, prepare on the areas of articleship, what you've done, what is the contribution that you've done. Write it down if you want, so that you can speak better, so that you don't miss out on points. I'm not saying that you write tall stories, because take it from me, huh? You also know, I also know, when somebody's bluffing, that who is honest, who is not honest. So give that credit for intelligence to both the parties. I mean, so that we should be sure of. So write down so that you can express yourself clearly. You don't miss out on points. Very important to do this in articleship. Second is areas of interest. Try to be as thorough as possible. So if you are saying that this is your area of interest, MAFA is your area of interest, then prepare along those lines. Have some questions, keep on asking questions. You might not have 100% of the question, but tell me one thing, if you have 20% of the questions, isn't it better than having 0% of the questions? Or at least guess of 10% of the better than zero. Anything is better than zero. So have a structured approach and you will definitely get there. So that's the process that we follow in the technical round one. After that, we go through technical round two, where they would assess both on technical as well as on behavioral skills and so on. It's more of a validation of how things have happened. So technical round two is done by more senior people. And that time it's about the fitment of the person in the company, on the role and the roles that we offer. After that, you have the HR round. So do not treat HR round as a round which is, as just a formality. Give that equal seriousness, because there also you have people who are evaluating you, assessing you for the fitment in the company. So and after that, based on that selection, you will have a letter of intent, LOI. And once you accept that, you get a period of time to accept that. Once you give the acceptance, after that, they issue a offer letter, and then you submit all your documents and the background verification starts. That's the whole process in a nutshell. I hope, Sudhanshu, I have explained this correctly, and if you have anything that you think I have left out, I can fill in.
No, no. So you have really explained everything very well. One thing that I had experienced during my interview was that I asked some of the people, okay, so some of them had the second round of interview was very generic. Like they ask where you are from, where are you from, what have you done in your articleship, what do you know about the general knowledge like thing. But if I compare to my second round of interview, it was like technical round only, because they asked me questions related to leases, then a financial instrument, like that. So I would suggest people, even if you qualify the first round, don't sit and say that they will ask the generic question in the second round. It may happen that you are not lucky that day, and you may end up having interviews with technical questions. So that I would suggest other people. So yeah, I think that was a great insight over the interview process and the selection process for the cohorts. Now I think we can move to the other part of our session. I think that part won't be interested for some of the people, because today is the assessment test only. But then we can cover that. Okay. So I would like you to start it from cohorts only. What is cohorts, and the roles that cohorts will be offering, and the future prospect regarding that. Yeah.
Sure. So thanks, Sudhanshu. So the program is, the way it is designed is that, as a company, if you look at our company, you see people who are in the senior levels are all, many of them have joined us from campus. One of the things that we think of is that how do we, what kind of a meaningful career can we give to people whom we onboard? And that is the thought process and genesis of the cohorts program also, where this was started by Mr. Jatin Dalal, our CFO. And the thought process that he had was that it should be really a world-class program where you get the best talent from the industry, challenge them, and keep on adding to their skills and experience as well. So this is the broad stuff that you have, so that in a certain, in a time horizon, they really become very successful in their career. And by that success, we don't measure the success only by saying that only if you stay in Wipro, you're successful. You have people in Wipro, we are proud to say also many of our colleagues are CFOs and other organizations as well. And so that's the broad design principle that we started with. How do we forget about everything else? How do we make sure that a great program where we give the cohorts who join in a fantastic experience in terms of learning, opportunity to learn, and also opportunity to have an experience, build their experience also very different from other organizations, or really excel in that area. So now when you think of it, we thought that should we hire for, so we have as a business, we have company in different areas of our finance team as well. You might have in controllership and treasury or tax and so on. Should we think of hiring in that way? Because it's much more easier, believe me, much more easier to hire in a siloed manner than to hire somebody who's generic and then put a bet. If somebody is very strong in accounting and has a passion for accounting, only sees debit credit entries and lives and dies about on accounting and entries and so on, it's much more, he or she is a good fit for a particular role. And if somebody is in loves tax or loves audit, a good fit for that role, and we can have a very comfortable organization also. People will be very happy. Those who join in also will be very happy. The managers also will be happy because now I have somebody who really likes only this topic. But there is a problem in that approach. The problem in that approach is that while they'll be happy now, in a few years from then, their employability will be a problem. Because then it will be like, that is like, you get a pony and it's a one trick pony. It knows only one trick. It's like if I know one card trick, huh? Like magic trick. That's only one trick I know. I cannot call myself a magician, right? I mean, I'll embarrass myself if I go to every party and show only one card trick. And there are people like that who can show only one trick. Right? So we said that is not what a leader is. Successful leaders are people who have uh, seen different aspects of business. And if you envisage success as a mountain, this is what you call top of the pyramid, bottom of the pyramid, and so on, right? If you see, the way to the top of the mountain is always from the bottom, huh? If you have to go from one mountain to another mountain, you can't just jump. You try doing that, I mean, you will not reach anywhere. You'll fall down only. So you have to go down and come up. And I can relate to that. I have made career changes from sales to finance and to different roles. You have to go down and start from the bottom again. So, but what it gives you is that it gives you a sense of thoroughness as well. There's no parachuting into a place is not fun. You'll not stay there for long. If you parachute onto a very high mountain, you'll not be able to breathe after some time if you're not acclimatized to that height and so on. So that's not the option. So we said that maybe having it's not a great idea. We want people to be employable because we want to be responsible for people as well. So how do we do that? What we do is that we take people in and we allocate them to different teams. And after 1 year, we mandatorily rotate them out of that team into a different team. Now, why do we do that? Because, once you are just getting settled in, you have impressed your boss and you've got a good relationship with your manager, and suddenly we change that. And also you learn different things also, different aspects of business. It is like when you see a particular building or an architecture structure, you can see from different perspectives and you can get a very different view. And that is when you really realize that, okay, this is what it is. And that's what we want to give you also. But at the same time, you have to contribute as well. So it is not a school that I want to sit only on this bench next to my friend here. And it's a business that we are running. So what we do is that we want to meet midway where we make sure that we are very sincere and honest about your employable, that you are employable in future, and build your skills towards that through rotations that are there. So first year you go there, and then again after 1 year, if you rotate you out, then it is not a great formula to have. So we typically rotate you out after 3 years by the second role, and so on. You keep moving and so on. 2 to 3 years, depending upon the where you are playing the role. Now here also, when I say rotation, it need not be horizontal, it can be vertical also. So you might go up in the hierarchy, you get promotions and all that. So you are doing a different role than what you were doing earlier. So change is constant in this process. And that is why you have people who are heading CFOs of different businesses within Wipro Limited today, who joined as a cohort in 2006 and 2007, 8, and so on. So, done very well and are handling that. And we can actually entrust a big and huge responsibility earlier on in the career. So that's the thought process that we started with. Now, in this thought process, it is a long-term process. It is not something that in 2 years that you see a result. If you plant a tree, you can't pull it up every 2 weeks and every 1 week and see that has the roots grown. It takes 20 years to grow a tree, and or 10 years or 15 years to grow a tree. If it is a teak tree, it takes 20 years just to become young. So you have to put in that investment in from your side as a person who comes in, and from the organization side, there is a lot of investment that's put in, and you can see some of the leaders that are there in Wipro today, whom you might have seen and heard, and you will see in the interviews also. They have been the person who was a treasurer was not there in treasury before. This is the first stint in treasury. She became a treasurer. Now she's moved out of treasury into a different role. And before that, she was the head of FP&A and so on. So there are various of these kind of stories that we have where we give people opportunities, and that actually makes a person whole. Because it's like going to a gym also. You can't just do only one exercise in the gym. I'll develop only biceps. You have to, it's a whole round exercise that if you want to be healthy. So that is the role that we have. Now, we have to supplement in your first 2 years also with training programs that are also challenging you. So therefore, we take you through few topics in which you would have studied in CA, but maybe left as an option or not have studied to the depth because you have to pass the exam also. So what we do is that we have a refresher of that. So let's say it is international taxation. There is one of the tax experts will take a session on as a refresher, and then they'll give you a case study. You'll be divided into groups. You're given a case study, and you have to solve that problem in case study. And the way we design the case study is that it has no one correct answer. And it's something like a chakra view where you don't know how to get in and you don't know how to get out also. So these are things that keep challenging you. But what it essentially teaches you is how to ask questions. Think of it. From kindergarten or first standard onwards, you've been asked to give the right answers, not ask questions. Questions are asked to you, you have to give the answer. If you ask too many questions, people will say, sit down, you're asking too many questions. But the skill is in knowing what kind of questions to ask. Because, as you see, the world of AI today, you have ChatGPT, which says that, you can ask questions that will give you the answers also. So finding answers from experts is not difficult, but getting to know what kind of questions to ask is important. That is what we teach you in these case studies that we run for the different finance modules that are there. We also teach you programming and also data analytics, through which you can be more relevant in future as well. There are and apart from that, we also say that if any one of the cohorts want to learn a specific skill or anything, please reach out to us. We'll make sure that it happens. And those kind of, if you want to learn, let's say Power BI is hot today, or you want to learn Python programming anyway, we teach as a part of the curriculum. But if you want to learn more something, more than welcome to do that. So that's an environment that we create. And now in this environment that we have created, if you come and say that I want to do only audit, or I don't want to do audit, or I want to do indirect tax because I scored highest in IDT, that doesn't fit well with the ethos. It doesn't fit well there. So that is the reason, because you don't know the organization. You don't know. Our idea is to make a successful business professional out of you. Therefore, we want people to come in who are open to working in any areas, taking up challenging roles which are different, and just think of learning. Again, as I say, whenever you think this job is not good, what I used to do, I ask myself is that what prevents me from doing a good job in this particular assignment that has been given to me? Nothing prevents me from doing a good job. Then it's okay. Then I can do that. So that's the reason, though it might sound very arrogant if we say that, we allocate people randomly into departments and we don't care what is your area of interest. We'll just put you wherever we are. Arrogance is not the reason for that. The reason is that this is what we want to build for you, and this is a long-term career that we want to build for you. And that's the commitment that the organization also has. And believe me, it is much, much more easier to hire people for a specific function. Everybody will be happy. But again, as I said, we would want our people to be successful. I've taken a long time to explain this, but I thought I'll just cover 3 or 4 questions as a part of the design of the program also. Otherwise, it sounds, that we are coming from a point of arrogance that no, we don't care about you. We'll just go there, go and sit there and all that. It's not like that. It is just that we really care about the success of the people whom we hire.
And as a part of cohort, only I know how much you care about us. So we have different sessions once you become part of cohorts, and they organize different sessions related to international taxation, business finance, wherein you will be given case studies to solve in a group of 4 or 5, and that will help you to also enhance your presentation skills in the long run. Okay. So, Naren, I think you have answered most of the questions in a single go only. Yeah, so just one question I think that is left, but then you have already answered in your talk only that will the role will be given out of our choice, or will it be given by the Wipro itself? So it will be given by the Wipro only. So though, or let's take my yeah.
So the reason is that, as I said, that we don't want to make life difficult for the managers as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
correct,
Sorry,
Naren.
Sudhanshu, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I think you have already answered all the questions. Any tips that you would love to give the students tomorrow for the assessment test?
Assessment tests, as I said, just prepare in that form. The more difficult one is the interviews. I'm about this company or that company. So prepare from that perspective. Don't go unprepared for the interview. Even few hours of preparation is useful. Write down when you're preparing so that you remember and it stays in your memory certain things that are there. So that are few tips. One thing, there was one question that I think we didn't answer was, can I reach to the top, i.e. CFO, if I stay in the company for long? And how will specs and work from home and work from office? So work from home and work from office, uh, there is no company with the team here so that you can learn more from your peer group as well. So that's about work from home or work from office. The last part is on how cohorts will help excel my future prospects and can I reach the top, i.e. CFO, if I join the course program? I have a request. Those who are listening and who have this question, just Google a few names. One is Pavan and Rao. When I say Pavan, Pavan, Pavan space N space Rao, RAO, Wipro. Look at his designation, his career journey. Another guy, Ashok Mittal, Wipro. Venkatraman Ishwaran, Wipro. Try these few people, Google them. You'll find the LinkedIn profile and all that. Rohit Mehrotra, Wipro. I mean, I can keep on going and talking about the cohorts whom I've been with, but just go. These are people who had joined long time back. So, you can see where the future prospects lie in. And then you see their connections and you'll figure out where they have reached today. So the first question of a CFO is answered with the Googling Pavan Rao and Ashok. I don't know, I'm not sure if he's updated his LinkedIn, but he's the CFO for strategic acquisitions. And you can Google and find out also. But once you see the link and the peer group that's there, that is the peer group that you build. Today you might not be CFOs, but tomorrow the peer group that you have would be very different, and you will be one of the guys who are there in that list. So that's how I would ask you to go and look at their career journey. Few names that I've given there, but they are not everybody. I can keep going on and again. Saurabh Goenka, there is Nishant Jain. Keep on looking, you'll see many, many people who are the coach who've been incredibly successful, both within Wipro and outside Wipro. And we're really, really proud of them. So
Yeah,
I guess that's it, Sudhanshu, right?
yeah. So we have now answered all the questions. Okay, and I hope everybody could make it in the assessment test, and everybody may give their best. Okay. Yeah. So thank you, Naren. Thank you, Dale, for joining this call.
So thanks, Sudhanshu. Thanks for the opportunity. And if there are questions, please do write to us at finance.cohorts@wipro.com, and we'll be happy to answer your question. Thank you, Sudhanshu. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.